Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Kim Hoang, the host of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and we're here again with another installment of our episode mini, where we take a full-fledged episode and we condense it into about 10 minutes. Sometimes we get it right on the 10-minute mark, and it's incredible. Sometimes we end up a little bit early, which is okay, and sometimes it takes a little bit more than 10 minutes, which is still fine. You know, the challenge of it all is just to do what we normally would do and just kind of shorten it for the convenience of our audience listeners. And, I'm really excited today for many reasons. And I'm trying really hard as a professional here to kind of like calm it down a little bit, because I know how excited I can get, and how I can really be off the walls and so forth. But, I'm basically going to do the best that I can here. I'm really sorry if I'm messing up or, if I'm overexcited or anything. It's just, to be as happy as I am right now and to kind of be a little bit nervous to announce it, it's a lot, it really is. But, as one person told me, they said, it's okay to be nervous, but as long as you just get the job done and you complete the mission, it's going to be okay. So, without any further delays, I really want to get into it, and we have the exciting news that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is now a part of the iHeartRadio family. You heard it correctly. Our podcast has made it with iHeartRadio, and going forward from this point on, you can access our podcast on iHeartRadio and their platform. It's incredible because anyone and everyone knows that when you're in iHeartRadio, especially when you're a podcaster, you're basically going to the mecca of all, platforms. Not to disrespect all the other platforms that we're on, but, this is very well known. So I'm really happy and excited for all this. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, how did this happen and so forth, and I'll just explain from the beginning that I've noticed a lot of podcasts that I know that, people that, are like kind of like in the same kind of like situation as I am, in the same level, they started to get a little bit more buzz, and they got on iHeartRadio. And I talked to them about that, and I said, hey, do you think that I would be able to get on iHeartRadio? Do you think that I have a shot? And they said, well, I think every podcast does have a shot, but, you don't really know unless you really start to apply, to see if your podcast show can make it. So, after much thought, about the situation, I decided to pull the trigger on it, and I went to a link where my friends told me where to submit the podcast on iHeartRadio. So, I just gave them all the information and everything, and, I was hoping for the best. Now, here's the thing. iHeartRadio, I think that they're very selective on what they want, because, obviously it's like if it's something that is of their interest, they're going to go ahead and accept it. A lot of who's who is on iHeartRadio, like the Joe Rogan show, the Stephen A. Smith show. I do believe that the Steve Harvey show is on iHeartRadio. So there's a lot of big wigs and so forth. Even the Adam Carolla podcast show is on there. So I was like really surprised about the who's who that's in there. So I was like, oh man, I hope that I'm able to make it. And I heard that if iHeartRadio didn't like your content, or they just felt like that you're not a fit, they would just kind of give you an email and just say, hey, you're not in. And, the next thing you know, I submitted, I get an email back. They asked, just to be sure to verify that this is your podcast. And, I took it as like, hey, this is a good sign. It's not a sign saying that, I got rejected. So this is good. So I went in and I said, yes, I confirm it. And then a few moments later thereafter, probably like, and later on in the nighttime, going into, I would say, the next day, like around midnight or a little bit past it, I get a little bit of a notification on my Gmail account. And it said, congratulations, you are now in with iHeartRadio, and your podcast is now going to be playing on our podcasting platform on a regular basis for a regular rotation. And I was really happy about it. I was just really screaming to the clouds, like, oh my goodness, it was incredible. And I almost wanted to cry. I really did. I really felt like, oh man, this is incredible. Like, this is a very good achievement for our podcast and, the history of our podcast. Now, iHeartRadio is like the number 6th podcasting platform that we belong on. We belong to other ones like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and Audible, and now iHeartRadio, which makes it number 6. Now, a lot of people have asked this question in general, not for the fact of my podcast, but they're wondering, hey, where is iHeart available? Where is iHeartRadio available? Can I listen to it here? Can I listen to it there? And the official answer is iHeartRadio is available to anyone in the United States of America, Canada, Mexico, Australia, and or New Zealand. So if you're in any of those countries, you have access to that. If you're not in there, you do not have access to iHeartRadio, so unfortunately you can't listen to our podcast there. However, we still have 5 other podcasting platforms that I have mentioned. So, you do have access. So let's say, for example, you live in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and you have an iPhone. Guess what? You can automatically go into Apple Podcast because it's free for anyone that has an Apple product, whether if it's an iPhone or an iPad or if it's a MacBook Pro or something like that. You have that immediate access, and it's totally free, so you wouldn't have anything to worry about. Obviously, you can listen to it on Spotify. That's used all worldwide, so there's no problem there. If you have Amazon Prime, you basically have Amazon Music, because it's kind of included in the package. So there's definitely ways to actually access our show, and it's good. What does this mean for us? It means that it's a great opportunity to be on the iHeartRadio platform. It is a great opportunity for us to kind of grow more potential listeners and subscribers, to have people listen to our podcast and they might just love what we do. And I want to thank iHeartRadio for accepting us in your family. This is huge. This is incredible. We're going to take this opportunity very seriously, and we hope that we can not only do iHeartRadio proud, but I hope that we can do ourselves proud, because I know that at the end of the day, we are who we are, and what we put out there is a total reflection of, who we can be. And I just hope that, people will continue to like what we do, support us, and just, talk about us in a very good way. So that being said, that's it. I'm really excited to be under the home of iHeartRadio. I can't wait to see what kind of possibilities and, doors we can open with this, great potential opportunity, or I should say the opportunity. And all I can say is it's going to be a great ride, and I love it. I can't wait, and I can't wait to continue to make great content for you guys, whether if it's an episode mini, if it's a full length, whether if I'm doing a solo episode or interviewing a special guest or having a guest host and we just kind of chat it up. It's going to be a good one for sure. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. As always, please like and subscribe to our podcast on all of the platforms. So, once again, we are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Amazon Music. We are on YouTube Music. We are on Audible. And now we are on iHeartRadio. So, please like and subscribe to us on all of those platforms. Please share our podcast on all of your podcasts, let me say that one more time. Please share our podcast on all of your social media pages. The Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Twitters, now known as the X, the Snapchats, the TikToks, and all that jazz. And tell your friends and your family members and your coworkers in person and let them know about us, because in this industry, that's brand awareness, and sharing is caring. So, yeah. So that's it. That's everything. Thank you so much, as always, for giving us a lot of love and support. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Guys, it's been real, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.